We continue talking college hoops. Let's move it over to the Big Ten, and we're going to go next level-ish. After losses by Wisconsin, Michigan State, and Nebraska this weekend, all 14 Big Ten teams now have at least one loss, with 6 teams at the top of the standings that are either 2-1 or 3-1. So, Dylan, you see these squads on your screen. 6 one-loss teams. When you look at this league, how many of them do you think have a chance to win the Big Ten?
Oh, boy. I'll tell you, the Big Ten is down, and the Big Ten is wide open as far as I'm concerned. There's certainly some teams that are more likely candidates to win the Big Ten, and to me, those most likely are Purdue and Indiana. Okay. I like Wisconsin. I think there's some definite leadership on that team with some guys that have been there for a while, like a Nigel Hayes or a Bronson Koenig. But the reality is I think the talent and the size of Purdue, as well as Indiana, when Indiana's playing their best basketball, I think those are the most likely teams to win the Big Ten. But it's pretty wide open. And in years past, we've seen the Big Ten really pacing things right up there with the ACC and as one of the best conferences in all the land. They might be the third best conference, certainly behind the ACC this year, maybe behind the Big East. Got to see how the Pac-12 shapes out, but obviously there's some real talent there with Oregon and UCLA and some of those other teams like Arizona. So I think they're probably the 4th best conference right now.
Don't count out the Big 12.
And
Baylor might be the number 1 team in the country.
Kansas is always there.
Absolutely.
So they're pretty stacked at the top.
Yep.
The one we got to throw away is the SEC, where you're always going to get Kentucky, but beyond that, the depth of the conference just isn't there. So yeah, 4th, 3rd, 4th, somewhere in that realm is the Big Ten. It's down, it's open, and even though Purdue and Indiana may be my favorites to win the conference, someone could come out of nowhere. You could see, I know our own Tim Doyle likes to get up here on his soapbox and tell us, Northwestern. Minnesota's off to a pretty darn good
Michigan
spot.
State, though, Tom Izzo,
now
they're always going to be in the conversation.
And the nightmare start where you're losing to these teams that you shouldn't lose to, and these small directional schools that are coming to East Lansing and winning, that almost seems like 10 years ago
and
now
that
we're
tough games too. They had like a Kentucky and some other high-profile games. Coach Izzo said he maybe stacked the schedule too tough early on.
It's funny he said that, but don't you think that's going to better serve them in the long run? I mean, as long as they can make the tournament, which I think they're going to. Now that all that talk of, is Michigan State going to miss the tournament? We're having those conversations at Thanksgiving, and here we are just after the new year, and they're playing pretty well within conference. But I think it's pretty wide open. I like Purdue. If you had to put me to a team right now, I like Purdue. You just can't teach that size.
Absolutely. Caleb Swanigan, Isaac Haas. Purdue had a big win over Wisconsin today.